LOL take two. LOL take two. LOL take two. Now listen. A couple of months ago, I recorded and released my podcast entitled Back to One. And since that time, some stuff went down that, well, caused me to take a little break from it all. It was also the holidays, which seem to come faster and faster every year, and to be honest, makes the best excuse ever for procrastination. How can eating caloric Swedish food and looking at the Christmas tree compete with sitting down to write? It's not like I have some corporate deadline for these podcasts, just this nagging voice in the back of my head. But let's face it, eggnog pretty much wins over everything. Some of my recent misadventures will find their pushy little way into future podcasts, but right now, I want to finish the story I started before my self-imposed hiatus. So, here goes. You've heard that 80s song, Blinded by the Light, right? Blinded by the light, wrapped up like a douche, another rumor in the night. Okay, it's not just me, is it? I'm not the only person who hears wrapped up like a douche as the lyrics, am I? Wrapped up like a douche? How does one wrap up a douche? Is it still boxed? And what, you're giving it to somebody as a baby shower gift? Here you go, friend. After little Caitlin is born, you're going to need this. But yet, I stand corrected decades later thanks to that little invention called the internet. I can now Google these lyrics from anywhere, my bed, a speeding car, the bathroom, and discover that what they are really saying is, blinded by the light, revved up like a deuce, another runner in the night. Okay, revved up like a deuce. I guess that is some kind of car reference, but another runner in the night. What is that supposed to mean? Is this some episode of Narcos? To be honest, I kind of like my made-up lyrics better. Then there's the Starship song, We Built This City on Rock and Roll. For years, I would sing along. My cola plays the bamba. But I guess the real lyrics are, Marconi plays La Mamba. Again, I kind of like my lyrics better. Why? I don't know. I just do. My favorite childhood band, well, fake band, the Partridge Family, sang on their debut album a fabulous song, among others, I must say, called Point Me in the Direction of Albuquerque. In this song, they sang, I need to get home, Bubba-chuck, 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 Bubba-chuck. Now, I have been singing Bubba-chuck, 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 Bubba-chuck for years. But again, sadly, I Googled the real lyrics and they were, I need to get home. One more time, one more time, one more time, one more time. How I ever got Bubba-chuck out of one more time is beyond me. And that was decades ago when my age was still in the single digits and my hearing was first rate. I did always notice that on many Partridge Family songs, David Cassidy sounds amazingly like Cher. Oh yeah, on track 2 of their second album, Up to Date, they sing, You Were Always on My Mind. And David sings, You might think it's sad, but I'm together now. Yeah, you laugh, huh? Yeah, you laugh, huh? Huh? I'm not making that up. Totally Cher. Pull that song up on YouTube and listen for yourself. Hearing the wrong things isn't just relegated to song lyrics. How often do we hear what somebody is saying very clearly, but what we think they said is something entirely different and so often based on what we wanted them to say? Hearing issues aside, my guess is probably quite a bit. My friend Jackie asked her daughter one time if she had to go to work that night, and the daughter looked at Jackie and said, Orange. What the hell? It's kind of interesting how if we've misheard something or missed a piece of information, our brains will go right ahead and fill in the blanks, whether it be wrapped up like a douche or Bubba-chuck. Back in my garage theater in Urbandale, Iowa, we would produce shows that I had either seen at the local community theater or Charlie's Showplace Dinner Theater. I would go to the Urbandale Public Library and lose myself in the 700 stacks. The 700s were designated by the Dewey Decimal System as the arts section, and I could hang there for hours. One of my all-time favorites was a series of books called the Burns Mantle Best Place series. In each volume, they'd choose 10 plays or musicals of the last Broadway season and assemble cast lists, fantastic photos from Broadway, and give you an abridged version of each script. Each Best Play series script would have little chunks of the real dialogue, but then paragraphs of narrative that filled in what was happening in between. It was like a little Reader's Digest version. Now, if I wanted to produce a show in my garage theater, I would either have to find the whole script at the library or spend my precious babysitting money and order a script from Samuel French Theater Bookshop in New York. That meant my mother having to write out a check for me. She had barely forgiven me after the mail-order record club incident. I had seen in a magazine a big ad that said, any 11 records or tapes for only $1. And it had a big list of all the popular albums of the time. I thought, are you kidding? I can get Electric Light Orchestra's A New World record, Heart's album, Dreamboat Annie, Fly Like an Eagle by Steve Miller Band, Billy Joel's Turnstiles, plus 7 more for only $1? That's less than a dime an album. This is the best deal ever. I signed up, ordered, and received my big box of 11 records. I was feeling so smart. Of course, there was a hitch. You had to order many more albums at regular club prices, which meant they weren't cheap. And then there were those pesky shipping and handling fees. You also had to respond each month to the club selection notice, or else you'd automatically receive the album of the month and be charged for it. Once I started receiving new albums every month and receiving bills for those albums, which I couldn't afford, I started getting collection notices from the record club. And soon after, my mom put a stop to that, telling the record club they were coming after a 13-year-old. After that unfortunate debacle, going back to Mom to write out a check to Samuel French for a script I wanted to produce in the garage was out of the question. I discovered that when I wanted to do a show I had seen in the Best Play series book, I would take the snippets of dialogue they provided, but then use the narrative and completely make up my own dialogue and story for the rest of the script. It was a great creative exercise because I had to use my imagination to get from one snippet of script to the next. And I took some liberties. Boy, did I take liberties. The first play I ever remember seeing, a 60s living room comedy called The Impossible Years, had a small bar on stage, and the characters were forever making themselves cocktails during the play. This was the way it was back then, as Darren Stevens would come home on the show Bewitched, and Samantha would always make him a highball. We had this little cart thing in my garage that we used on every set for every play. We'd have booze bottles filled with iced tea, glasses with ice, and always had characters making cocktails in our plays, whether it existed in the original script or not. I put that little bar into the plays The Star-Spangled Girl and Butterflies Are Free. And I believe FDR, who was on crutches in our version because we didn't have a wheelchair, had a little bar in our production of the musical Annie. The idea of being able to look something up, anything up, on your phone sounds good in theory, but what are we really finding when we look stuff up? Is it real facts or just some dippy influencer who's trying to get you to buy some crappy overpriced tennis shoes? And what is with this whole influencer thing? Influencing who? I mean, we've always been barraged by the advertising industry our whole lives, which is basically capitalism's great big influencer. They influence us to get excited for Christmas or next year's fashions or getting our doctor to prescribe us Viagra. Heck, full disclosure, I've been in dozens of television commercials pushing things from the Wall Street Journal to United Healthcare to AT&T to General Electric to Walgreens. Does that make me an influencer? No, more like a hooker in a tube top and platform high heels working Santa Monica Boulevard. An influencer is defined as one person, usually some 15-year-old with 2 billion Instagram followers who faithfully look at the influencer's pictures of him/her eating yogurt, walking their dog, or not so subtly pushing some product like an undercover Tupperware lady. I read one of the top 10 influencers in the entire world is named Jay, as in the letter J. Oh, sure. I was going to buy these perfectly wonderful Champion gym shorts for $15 with free shipping. But wait, no. I'll spend $150 on a designer pair that Jay recommends because Jay was wearing them on Instagram while sitting on his toilet watching Judge Judy. Oh, give me a break. As it is, we spend so much time looking down at our devices. There is now a medical condition called text neck. I'm not kidding. Google it. Wait, no, stop. Googling text neck will cause text neck. Oh, good Lord, will it ever end? Okay, I'm old, I'm cranky. I get it. I own it. Bring on the old man onesie jumpsuit and white Reeboks with Velcro fasteners. I am so there. I realize that writing these podcasts is kind of like when I used to create the scripts for my garage theater. I start with an idea, a beginning, and hopefully an end, and just let my imagination go and eventually fill in the blanks. It's kind of like taking your dog to the dog park and letting her run free. And I think that's good for the dog. And letting our imaginations run free can be good for us. I don't think I need to know everything about everything at a moment's notice, especially when so much of what is out there is just somebody else's imagination or their nonsense. I've been asking myself the question, is the ability to grab our phones and look up anything in the entire world, whether alleged fact or influencer fiction, does that really improve our lives? I suppose sometimes, but sometimes, isn't the mystery of something more exciting? And to be honest, isn't thinking the lyrics are Bobachak, 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 Bobachak just more fun?
LOL take two. LOL take two. LOL take two. Ba 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 bum.